Hi friends, it's Aubrey. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you some of my shelf cooking meals that I did this month to give you some inspiration on things that maybe you have lying around that you could make dinner with instead of running to the grocery store. Hope you enjoy. Tonight we are doing a dinner brought to you by clearance items. We're gonna have some rice-a-roni, some pork loin, it's a lemon garlic one, and then we have some rolls, and we also have some veggies that need to get used up, so we'll make a little thing of roasted veggies to go along with this, but that will be dinner for tonight. I love how easy this dinner was to make just because I had everything on hand, and most of them were quick, easy things that I could just pop right into the oven or the microwave and get cooking. Dinner was delicious and an easy cleanup, so that's a win in my book. I found some cream cheese in my freezer. I also had some little sourdough rounds, some broccoli that desperately needed to get used, and then I also had half an onion and a clove of garlic from my Green Chef box that needed to be used. So I got some pans out, some water boiling for the noodles and for the broccoli, and we are going to make beef stroganoff. I'm loosely following a recipe which I will have linked in the description box for you below. I really just eyeballed most of the ingredients just until the consistency of the beef stroganoff mixture was to my liking, and once that was all well combined and the noodles were all the way done cooking, I went ahead and just combined them together, and this turned out so good, and it was nice to use up some things that had just been sitting in my freezer and my fridge. It's a perfect example of using substitutions because the recipe that I tend to use does not include cream cheese or milk, but I didn't have whipping cream or sour cream, so I just subbed those with some cream cheese and some whole milk that I had on hand, and it turned out just fine. So when you're shelf cooking, make sure that you use substitutions and not run to the store if you can. You can Google common substitutions for ingredients, and that way you'll start to know what exactly you can sub out for other ingredients that you may already have on hand. Tonight we're having some people over from our church for dinner, and so tonight's dinner is all things that were in my freezer. We're gonna have some garlic brown along with some ravioli. We're gonna do a little Lazy Mom's lasagna. Got the sauce out, cheese, some ground beef that was pre-cooked, and then the ravioli. Let's get cooking. I've made this recipe before, and it's one of my favorite go-tos, especially when I'm feeding a crowd, because it's relatively inexpensive to make and it's really easy to throw together, and it turns out so delicious every single time. And so I'm just gonna layer all of the raviolis on top of my sauce that I put on the bottom of the pan. Then we're gonna add in some cheese and meat, and then we'll do the sauce again and just layer it on up until we are out of raviolis. On top, we will add some mozzarella cheese. I don't prefer a big glob of cheese on the top. I know some people love that, so I just went a little bit light here on the top. I baked this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes covered, and then the last 10 to 15 minutes I uncovered my casserole dish, and I also threw in those garlic rounds that I had in the freezer. Just put some butter and garlic powder on them, and we had a nice side salad to go with this. For tonight's dinner, we're gonna try these chicken fajitas that I got on clearance a few weeks ago, along with some clearance guacamole. We're just gonna do rice bowls, I think, because we don't have enough tortillas. And then I also pulled out some cheese from the freezer. So tonight's dinner is basically brought to you from my freezer. Let's get cooking. Just gonna get some rice cooking, and then while the rice is cooking, we'll heat up the veggies and chicken. This Kroger chicken fajita mix is so good. So if you see it on clearance, definitely grab it. And if you can't eat it right away, go ahead and put it in your freezer because it reheats beautifully. It was super simple to make, and it turned out so good. I also had some corn on hand that I got for pretty inexpensive at Albertsons. I think it was like 9 cents an ear. So we cooked that up and just served this over some rice, and it was so good. I had some Parmesan that needed to get used up. There were 2 different containers. I know it's not exactly the same Parmesan, but it'll work for this Alfredo recipe that we're making tonight, and that's kind of the inspiration for that. So we got some water boiling for the broccoli to steam and also for the noodles. And then while that is boiling or coming to a boil, we're going to go ahead and take some chicken off of the rotisserie chicken here, and we'll save the rest for another day. And while the noodles are cooking, I put in 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of flour into my saucepan, and we're going to get that mixed together. And then we'll add in about 1 clove of minced garlic. After that, we'll add in 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of Parmesan cheese. You can add additional milk or cheese depending on how thick or thin you like your sauce to be. And then I just salted and peppered this to taste. And I'll be sure to have this recipe linked for you. It does make a pretty thick sauce. And I think if I would have maybe mixed in a little bit more milk, it would have been less thick, but it still turned out so good. And it's a great recipe for when you don't have heavy cream and you still want that Alfredo for dinner. Are you eating your favorite broccoli? Yum! We had some mangoes that we needed to use, and we always have rice on hand, so we're gonna make some mango sticky rice. I did a double batch for this recipe, and we took 2 cups of sushi rice and about 3 cups of water. We let that sit on the counter for about 20 to 30 minutes. That way the stickiness will be a lot better. And then once that has sat for a while, we added in a can of coconut milk and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. We gave that a good stir, and then we put it onto the stove and got it to a boil. Once it was boiling, we lowered that to a simmer and just let it cook for about 20 to 30 minutes until it was all the way cooked through. And while that was cooking, we made the sauce using another can of coconut milk and about 6 tablespoons of brown sugar. You can add more or less depending on how sweet you want it to be. And we just heated it up a little bit. You don't want it to get too thick, but while that was getting warmed through, we chopped up the mangoes, put those into a bowl, and then added our sticky rice and sauce on top. This turned out so good, and we made enough that we were able to have it for a few days, and it is one of our favorite desserts. So whenever you see mangoes for a good price, go ahead and try this recipe out. It was so delicious. That's all I have for you today. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please give this video a like and leave me a comment down below on some of your favorite pantry staple meals. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you here. I make new videos every single Sunday and occasional bonus videos. And with that all being said, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!